my first book review. Yay! I'm so excited. First up, I'm gonna just say a few things. So the first video I uploaded on Instagram Reels, which has, however, a limit of 3 minutes. And I feel like I don't want to adhere to that limit. That seems very tight to talk about a book. So basically, I think what I will do going forward with these book reviews is to just make stories, Instagram stories, and it will split it, I believe, 30-second pieces. So that might be annoying to watch, and some words might get like cut if they happen to be in 2 different splits. But that's one way I'm gonna upload. However, if that's too annoying, I will also upload it on my YouTube channel, so where you can just see it as one complete video, and I probably would recommend you do that. So my YouTube channel is Lija. I might try to link it on my Instagram story. Let's see if I manage. I will also link it in my Instagram profile. And if you're watching this on YouTube and you think, what is this weird intro? Well, hey, welcome to my channel. Some Lija, or Lija is my own given name to myself, for those who don't know. And Lija is my online tag or persona, if you will, that I use. So welcome to my channel, and let's talk about books. So without further ado, book number 1, the one that I most recently read, it's Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. Very popular story, very well-known story, I believe. However, for me, it was actually that I kind of knew what happens, but I also had no idea, not really like the details of the story. So for any reviews, I won't do spoilers for like key parts, but I do want to talk about the story in some ways, and maybe sometimes minor spoilers will come in. In that case, I will warn. And if I want to talk about a huge thing that happens that is a huge spoiler, I will obviously also warn before that spoiler happens, so you have time to pause or end the video and don't have to listen to the spoilers if you don't want that. So that is for general. So let's talk now about Frankenstein. So first and foremost, I gave this 5 stars on Goodreads. I loved it. Such a good book and story. So non-spoilery what Frankenstein is about. So basically we have Victor Frankenstein, I'm Swiss by the way, a Swiss young natural philosopher who's really hungry for knowledge and what natural philosophy can do, also following some of like more older, not officially sanctioned methods of can you reanimate the flesh. So I think most of us know what Frankenstein is about, but basically he goes so deep into his passion that that in the end his life turns into a very troubled life, and he has to deal with the consequences of his pursuing his studies so crazily. And it's a really good story. It's with these classics, often there are like these stretches that are just kind of you know, they're like dry and hard to get through, but this book, not at all. I read through this so easily. I loved every single chapter. The pacing was good. There wasn't really anything that I felt like it's overstaying its welcome. It's also not a very big book, so if you want to try to get into classics, this is actually a really good starting point. Personally, I love the language. The language is absolutely beautiful. Mary Shelley writes so crazy nice. But I'm in love with like a more old school way of writing, Jane Austen era and Mary Shelley, obviously. That is just something I love. I love that language where you use so many words to say things in a way we would Yeah, well, in this day and age, you wouldn't even have time for that, right? But it's so beautiful, and the edition that I read right here is obviously modernized, so it's not like OG as exactly Mary Shelley wrote. But this is my preferred way. I don't need the thousand die and those kind of very, very old English. But it's still very beautiful language, and I actually wanted to read one passage, for example, just to give you a little thing. It's in the very early beginning of the book, so no spoilers. So this is one paragraph, for example. These reflections have dispelled the agitation with which I began my letter, and I feel my heart glow with an enthusiasm which elevates me to heaven. For nothing contributes so much to tranquilize the mind as a steady purpose, a point on which the soul may fix its intellectual eye. Oh, beautiful. I love this kind of language. So this is, if this speaks to you and you haven't read it, but you think you know the story, read it. It's so worth it. I had such a blast, such a good time, and it was some good. So it's considered sci-fi and considered horror, and it has some really good horror spooky elements. Another aspect I really liked were her descriptions, like the Swiss Alps where Victor Frankenstein lives, and also all the other places he travels to during the course of the story. They're like, again, in this beautiful language described, but not overstaying the welcome. So it's not like for 3 pages all we do is read how a waterfall looks like. So it's done in a very like good way, because often in classics I also have the trouble that sometimes they talk about a forest for 5 pages and I'm like, yeah, that's okay. I don't need to know more. So those are one of the things that Mary Shelley doesn't do. It's very well put together in my opinion, and I really just overall enjoyed it. So yeah, so that is my first book review, Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. Highly recommend. If you haven't, read it, and I don't mean watch it or anything. Read it. Read the actual book. It's so worth it. And that's it. So 5 stars from me. And yeah, looking forward to do the next book. So hopefully you enjoyed this little short review. And if you have any tips or comments, or if you want to discuss something or agree or disagree or have a question, just write it in the comments, and yeah, let's talk books. Yay. So that's all for me. Thanks very much. See ya. Bye.